Welcome to the first video lecture for Intermediate Macroeconomics. Remember that before spring break, we had worked out product market equilibrium and money market equilibrium, derived the IS and LM functions, put them in a graph, and then calculated the equilibrium values. So for this problem, we're going to start with those same answers, and you should already know how to derive all that, but we're going to do a problem involving crowding out. So we're going to look at the effect of a tax cut. Taxes started at 500, so let's lower taxes from 500 to 410. That's a change in taxes of -90. So you might think, well, we can use our shortcut, our tax multiplier. Remember the tax multiplier, delta y over delta t, is minus MPC over MPS. And MPC here from our consumption equation is 0.8, so MPS is 0.2. 0.8 over 0.2 is 4. So the tax multiplier in this problem is -4. So if we have a $90 tax cut and the multiplier effect kicks in, this would turn into an increase in equilibrium income of 360. We started with 7,500. So if we increase by 360, that'll take us to 7,860 for our new equilibrium value. However, this is assuming there's no change in the interest rate. And what happens is if they give a tax cut and the IS curve shifts to the right, like from IS to IS prime, notice it takes us to a new equilibrium with a higher interest rate. So just like in the real world, if Congress gives a tax cut and they have to borrow money to pay for it because they're not changing their spending, then when they go into credit markets and borrow, it drives interest rates up, assuming the Fed doesn't take any action. We'll think about what the Fed can do in just a little bit. So what we want to think about now is exactly what's going to happen to the interest rate and how much output that's going to crowd out. So to do that, we need to find our new IS equation. And we'll find the new IS equation using the tax value of 410. So you just do it the same way you did the original one, but instead of using 500 for taxes, you use 410 for taxes. So when you plug that in for taxes, 0.8 times 410 is 328. So you'll add your constants. They come out to 2,100. And then when you subtract 328 from 2,100, that gives you 1,772. So then when you write your constants and then your the term with the interest rate is still there, and then you take y and then minus 0.8y over to the other side, so you'll have 0.2y, and then you multiply through by 5 on both sides, so that gives you your new IS equation. So 1,772 times 5 is 8,860. And then just as before, 50 times 5 is 250. So the slope of this new IS didn't change, but it has a new anchor point. Instead of starting at a value of 8,500 from the horizontal axis, it'll start at 8,860. So it's a shift to the right. This is a result of a tax cut. And once we have the new IS equation, we can calculate the new equilibrium. Again, using the same technique we used before the break. Just use your new IS, but use your original LM and set these Y values equal. So you'll write 8860 minus, minus 250R equals 6,700 plus 200R. So then that gives you 2160 if we subtract 6,700 from both sides, and then 450 times R on the right side if we add the 250R, and then divide through by 450, and you get 7,660 is your, you get your new interest rate is 4.8, and then if you plug that into your IS or your LM, you'll get 7,660 is your new income value. So this number is 4.8. This number is 7,660. And this technique you're familiar with. This is the same technique we used to get the original equilibrium values. So we're just shifting the IS curve to the right, getting our new equilibrium. Now, when we found the change in income, assuming no change in interest rate, basically if you assume the interest rate stays at 4 and you just move over to the right to your new IS equation, this number is what we found here, 7860. So if you focus on this graph, assuming there is no crowding out is the same as saying that the interest rate doesn't change. So that would give us a $360 boost to income, equilibrium income. But if there is crowding out and the interest rate goes up, we get a much smaller increase in equilibrium income. It's only going to go up by 160. So the crowding out part is what happens as we move along this IS function. It's caused by higher interest rates, and the amount of output that's crowded out is the difference between 7860 and 7660, which is 200. Okay, so in this model, crowding out is always partial, meaning we're at least going to get some positive effect of the tax cut. But in the classical model that we'll do later, you'll find crowding out will be complete. But for the Keynesian model, it's partial. Now, you might also realize that it's possible for the Fed to take action. The Fed can come to the rescue, and they can increase the money supply, move the LM to the right, and they can actually prevent crowding out by accommodating the tax cut. All they have to do is increase the money supply. And I calculated if they increase the money supply by exactly 180, that'll do the trick. That'll shift the LM over enough to get us to the place where equilibrium income is at 7860 and the interest rate stays at 4. So there's two ways this can happen. The Congress can cut taxes and they'll get a partial stimulation for the economy, but there'll be some crowding out. Or the Congress and the Fed can act together and they can cause income to go up by quite a bit more without causing any crowding out. So, of course, usually the Fed will accommodate fiscal policy. So now you're ready to do that problem on crowding out. That's part of that's going to be one of your quizzes. And you're going to put your answers in on Canvas. I've already set that up. So if you have questions, let me know. Good luck.